Okay.
Chicka,
Yeah.
chicka. Yeah.
Kill Bill and Rev. We don't suck. Ooh. Welcome back to the place to be. Everybody come to me and say, hey, Chippy Chub, hey, we don't suck. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Welcome back.
Happy to be here.
Thanks.
So how's your toe?
Yeah, it sucks, man. I stubbed it the other day, and I just want to talk about it for like an hour.
For a couple hours?
Nah, just an hour. So yeah,
Yeah.
So I stubbed it, right? And
As you should have, you prick.
yeah, it sucks, man. So that's my story, really.
That was a short hour.
I was talking like dog hours, you know?
Oh. It's the opposite of Dragon Ball Z hours.
Yeah, anime hours in general, but dog hours is my measurement, you know?
That's because, bitch, I'm a dog.
So, Bill, how are you feeling? What's going on? What's happening with your body?
I've been better, Rav. Things have been better in my life.
How? Why?
I've suffered a crippling tragedy.
Tell me.
Well, let me set you guys. Do you guys? Maybe I could Tarantino it real quick. So there I was. My leg was twisted around like a fucking G.I. Joe doll that got in the hands of that one kid who was a little too rough. Okay, but then we're gonna Tarantino back. That's the
Wait, but before you Tarantino
rewind.
back, you have to say something kind of funny or wise or like, you know, just be like, there you are with your G.I. Joe leg. What is it you say?
There you are with your G.I. Joe leg.
Yeah, what are you saying? Like, it has to be like a very Tarantino-esque kind of script where it's like basic language, but it's kind of smart. Or like,
well, I'm not too good at either of those things, basic language or kind of smart.
Okay,
so
just
maybe
say something.
You should help me out.
Just say, okay, so there he was with his G.I. Joe leg, and he goes like, yeah, just man, the fucking economy. Either you fuck it or it fucks you, you know, and then that's it. I don't know,
free
man.
health care, my ass. I'd say as I need free health care.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh my
It's been a
God.
while since I've seen a Tarantino movie. So that's what happens, and then so take it back now. How did we get here?
Yeah. The year was this year, which is just proving to be the worst fucking year of everyone's life. Okay. So I go up to my parents' house and I was kind of helping clean out my old bedroom. So I go in there and I'm like kind of making trips back and forth to my car. Mm-hmm. And okay, just to like set the stage for you guys, there's two doors that you can enter through. Well, in the they don't use the front door very often because it's kind of where they let the dogs out into this cage. Not cage, fence. They let them out into this enclosure.
Yeah.
So
You're like the Tiger
there's
King.
two doors. Yeah, exactly. Except for they're just tiny ass little dogs. Yeah. There's two back doors that we use primarily, and one of them has steps, and the other one has a ramp. And they built that ramp there from when my grandma had a stroke. You know, she passed away this past year, 2019. But she had a stroke in like 2004 or something like that. And she couldn't walk since then. And so they built this ramp. So if they want to take her out on wheelchair, she could just come out. It was like made it handicap accessible, right? So like my dad takes that ramp a lot more often than me because he's a dialysis patient, and so like he has a little bit harder time with balance and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So he's always telling me, he's like, yeah, you always go up them stairs instead of that. And I was always just, I don't know why, I just like the stairs more. Okay. And this is important. This is important because this is, I don't know if you believe in signs from above or gut feelings.
It depends like what signs. If like I'm on the highway and the sign above says like turn left for exit,
yeah,
you know,
I had one of those.
Like I
had one of those.
I usually tend to follow those.
But from God.
Okay, a little further up.
Yeah, a little further above.
Just a little, yeah. Similar
I had
thing.
to squint real hard. It was either that or it was a bug. I couldn't tell. Okay.
Right, you have to put your glasses on to see it.
I've never liked taking the fucking ramp, and I don't know why. I always just like taking the stairs, and it's like a longer walk, you know, and to take the stairs. So I was leaving, and I took the stairs down, and it was raining. Now they have like a carport that like attaches to the end of that ramp, but at where it attaches, sometimes rain will leak through because there's like this really big oak tree that kind of like overhangs. And one time a limb fell, and the limb was like the size of a fucking tree, and it like fucked up that roof part.
Yeah.
Right? And they fixed it, but it was still like kind of leaking. Okay. So there's like a puddle of water at the bottom of this ramp. Now the ramp is kind of like a rubbery, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like if rubber and sandpaper had a baby. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's sand rubber.
Yeah. Rub paper.
Paper.
Paper. Okay, so paper. So it's sort of slick if there's water on it, but normally you don't have to worry about water being on it.
Yeah.
So I notice as I'm walking, because like a lot of my mail gets forwarded to my parents' house because they live like right there on the edge of the road.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that if I put my address, they will like deliver to my neighbors a lot. And so I always just put my parents' address, and I'll just come and get my mail, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's like I could walk up there, you know, they don't live far away. Mm-hmm. And they, I go up there, and I see at the end of the ramp, the other end, like a package for me was sitting at the top. And the thing that's fucking dumb is it was like not even that big of a deal, the package itself, because I just ordered a new mattress, a bed for the first time in my life. And like it came with the free set of sheets, but we knew the set of sheets was going to suck. And just confirmed later, another Tarantino moment, they did suck. We're going to need new ones because they don't even like fit the bed. Okay. So I see it at the edge, and I was like, well, I'm going to go get that shit. And so I walk up there, and I'm like all happy, like, hell yeah, I've been productive today. I got a lot of this shit done, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go home. I'm going to like work on some beats, blah, blah, blah. And then, I was supposed to stream that night too, and I took the night off just to make beats. Like I was like, I'm going to make beats and work on my album. And so I grabbed the package, and as I'm walking down, I'm not looking down because I have a big ass fucking package in my hands. And
okay, show off.
Yeah, it's a big package.
So then you put your dick back in your pants.
I put my dick back in my pants, and then I grabbed the package.
Okay, damn it.
So I couldn't see because of the fucking package full of sheets, and I just stepped right into this puddle, and it was like a split second, like I just slid super fast. And the way I ended up landing was like basically like a rock star slide. You know what I mean? Like on your knees. But there's like on the left side, I don't know how to describe it. It's like an outline. It's more decorative than anything, but it's like my parents' house is a brick house, and then under the carport, an outline like where one of the cars should go. Like it separates it from the rest of it. And it's like a wall, but it's like a foot high. I don't know what you would call that. There's probably a word for it, but I don't know what it is. Okay. And it's on like directly to my left. Okay. And as I'm falling doing this rock star slide, I like hit like my knee on that. and it pushes my body like further backwards. And so my leg is completely like bent behind me, right? And it all happened so quickly. I'm talking about like I slid, and because it's like a downward trajectory, it was like, it felt like I was like going car speed. Okay.
Quick question.
I don't know what was going on.
While this was happening, were you like doing like an air guitar thing as well? Because it's like a rare opportunity.
Yeah. I was going diddly diddly diddle, breaking my leg. Right. Okay. So this part was kind of fucked up because like, for one, I just like the package just goes flying. Okay. And it took me like a while. It took my parents a while to find the package because like I threw it up and I don't know where it went, you know? And then like they like brought it to the house and I was just like, wow, fuck, thank you. The thing that broke my leg.
Great.
So the way I landed, I knew I fucked my leg up like immediately. Like I was like, oh, that really hurt, blah, blah, blah. But I thought it was going to be like, because I'd had like not like real injuries before, but like semi injuries, like nothing that's like ever required me to go to the hospital over. But I fell and like hurt my leg pretty good before, you know, like bruised to the bone type situation. And so I looked down at my leg just to like, you know, see how everything's doing, assess the damage. And I look and it's like my foot is turned to like a 40-degree angle to the left more than it should be.
Like Juicy J turned.
And yeah, like, and dude, I'm not gonna lie. The worst part about that shit was my parents were in the house. I couldn't get to my phone because adrenaline was going. I couldn't like dial on my phone. And I just like kept yelling like at the top of my lungs. Yeah. And I was so scared no one was going to hear me. I was like heavy metal screaming out there, bro. It was so bad.
Damn.
Like, I think it kind of fucked me up. Like, and no, like all jokes aside, like it keeps like replaying in my mind and it's been like fucky. You know what I mean? But,
yeah, of course. Well, I mean, it's like.
Not like I'm like, you know.
It's a survival kind of thing, right? You're worried that maybe you hurt yourself really bad. The leg is full of arteries and everything. Your shit is mangled.
That was my first thought was like, oh, did I fuck up something in my leg that could kill me? You know? Right.
And there's no one around. And so, yeah, I mean.
Yeah. And so I'm just yelling at the top of my lungs. After about a minute, my mom comes outside and she's just like, oh my God, are you okay? She thought I just fell. But like the way I was yelling was real, like the neighbors could hear me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then like I was like, hey, I broke my leg. That was the first thing I said. And she was just like, how do you know? And she looks down. She was like, oh my God. Like, and I was like, God damn, it is bad.
How do you know? I don't know. I hunch.
Yeah, exactly. And then like, so at the time, Joe was at her mom's house grabbing some stuff to bring to the house here. And I texted her and was like, hey, like at that point I kind of calmed down. They called the paramedics. They were on the way. My dad is just kind of like trying to crack jokes to keep me like laughing. You know what I mean? It hurt really bad, but like not as bad as I thought it was going to, like in the moment at least, because of the adrenaline. Yeah. But I'm texting Joe and I was just like, hey, don't freak out, but I broke my leg. And then like it was like a space and I was like really bad.
Yeah.
Right. And she didn't see the text, right? Until like she was driving up to the house and I saw her and she pulls up. What now?
Or is it through the dead zone? Is that why she didn't see it?
Yeah, like it came, she got it as soon as she saw me on the ground. And then she was just like, oh, what's going on? And she pulls up and then like she got the text like as she was pulling up.
I see, yeah.
And so she comes out and then she was like, how do you know you broke your leg? And I was just like, look at it. At first I was like, don't look. First I was like, don't look. It's way worse. It looks way worse than it is. That's why I was trying to calm her down because I don't want to freak her out, right?
Yeah.
And then she comes out there, and then she was like, I was just like, I broke my leg. And she was just like, how do you know that? And then I was like, look. And she looked, and then like my mom's crying, she's crying, my dad's making jokes. It's just a weird, like,
Oh yeah, what is your dad saying?
I don't even remember. Like, he was just saying something because like my dad like can't get along very well. Like, he can't like get around very well. Like, he's kind of slow getting around.
Yeah.
And he was just like saying something like along the lines of like, oh, you can just hop on my back and we can be there tomorrow. Like, stuff like that, you know? And like, we stay kind of far out, like we're out in the country. And so it's like a 10 to 15 minutes just to get to the hospital, you know? So the dudes get there. It's like 3 people. They get me on this stretcher. They put me in. It was a kind of crazy experience just getting on the stretcher in the first place, because it was just like I was trying to do it without moving my leg, you know? They get me on there. They shoot me up full of, I think they gave me fentanyl at first just to like calm me down. They get me to the hospital, and then I'm just like sitting in there. Then my mom, they said that I could get 1 visitor because of COVID, you couldn't get more than 1. And so my mom came, and she stayed with me, and I was thinking they were going to keep me overnight, because they were saying in the ambulance, they were like, I've never seen a break this bad. They were like, this is terrible.
That's a nice thing to say. Very comforting.
Yeah,
in that moment.
And then I'm like sitting there, and I was just like, man, is this going to like hurt as bad as I think it is when they have to set it? And the guy was just like, yeah, it's going to be fucking awful. You're going to have the worst time of your fucking life. I was like, awesome.
That's so bad.
Yeah, no, he was just like, I mean, he didn't say it like that, but he basically said, well, it's not going to be fun, like really not fun, you know, like in a way that's like, I'm glad I don't have to go through this.
They could have just said it like, well, trust me, it's worth it. Like, you're going to feel so much better as soon as it's done. It's quick, you know?
No, he wasn't that kind of guy. That dude was like, he was like in the Navy before. I was sitting there talking to him because I was trying to like stay sane, and it felt like, because like my leg was stable, I felt like, and it hurt a lot, but I think I was still in a state of shock, and I was like, I need to like talk to someone. So I was just like asking him basically his life fucking story. Like, I was like, oh, what branch of the military were you in? Where did you go? Stuff like that. Like,
just to keep your mind off your leg.
Yeah, because the last thing I want to think about was my leg. And we get up there to the hospital. They get me in the bed. And the thing that like I didn't realize, because I've never broken a bone before, and I didn't realize that it's like a fucking, you sit there and you wait for like a while with just a broken ass bone, and they just kind of like make sure you're alive. And yeah, dude, I had to wait, like, before I actually got everything said and done was like a 3-hour process.
That sucks.
And yeah, and so like the first hour they came and they x-rayed it, and then they gave me some pain meds. I think they gave me like Dilaudid or something, which is like an offshoot of morphine.
Okay.
And like, so I'm just like chilling in the bed. My mom is there, and I'm like showing her YouTube videos, because like I'm just trying to keep my fucking mind on something other than my leg. Because this whole time, my leg's just sitting there fucky. Like, it's just, there it is, you know?
Right.
And so then they came, and the guy was like, well, we're going to have to set it. And then I thought, because they said something about surgery, I thought it was like, oh, they're going to do surgery tonight. Like, I thought that was how that worked. They were going to like take me to like a surgeon and like do it. But they were like, oh, no, you're probably going to need surgery later. And I'm supposed to go this next week to figure out exactly, I think it's Wednesday, to figure out exactly what they're going to do with my leg. If they're going to just chop it off or what. So they did the x-rays, and I was hurting really bad in my ankle where it was twisted. So what it ended up being was I broke my leg in 3 places on my fibula. Like one really bad, super clean break. That wasn't like shattered or anything.
Oh, that's
it was
good.
just like yeah. And then 2 little like stress fractures above it.
Okay.
So, and then I also dislocated my ankle, and that's where all the pain was coming from. And also that's where the whole gnarly look about it was coming from.
Yeah.
The bones breaking weren't as bad as the actual Yeah. And so the guy, he looks at me, and he was a cool guy, the doctor. He looks at me and he goes,
Gross.
yeah, he did. Basically, he made a joke. He kind of made a joke. He's like, wow, that's hard to look at, and no one believed me when I was just like, yeah, I just slipped and fell. Everybody was just like, nah, like, and I was like, you want me to make up a funnier story? Like, I was doing a fucking kickflip and my board flipped up and hit me in the face. I did a backflip and broke my leg. Like, what do you want me to say?
Right.
Yeah, and so that happened. And then he came in and was just like, yeah, all the pain is coming from that ankle. He was just like, when we set that, it's going to make it like way better. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, listen, doc, I'm kind of squeamish when it comes to bone stuff. Like, I don't want to hear like crack, 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 could you just put me under? I was like, can you just knock me out? And he was like, no, you can't do that because you have to do this other thing. And it's like, it'd be really expensive and like not worth doing. And I was kind of like, okay. And I already knew, like, I have health insurance, but I know that it's not good health insurance. Shout out to being a rapper, by the way. And so I'm sitting here thinking, like, I'm already going to be like thousands of dollars in debt just from like being here, and he was just kind of like, yeah, no, we're going to just get you real doped up and then we're going to start tugging on that leg. And the way he said it made me both like calm down because he used such funny language as tugging on your leg, and also freaked me the fuck out at the same time. I don't know how to explain it. But so they shot me up full of more Dilaudid and then fentanyl right before. So I was like, fucked.
Gone.
Like, I mean, I was still like, at the time, I don't feel like I was goofy acting or anything like that. But I do recall. Well, I say do recall. I don't recall much of the night after that. You know, like it's kind of like when you're drunk and you sort of remember stuff. But the only difference is like I wasn't acting like, whoa, I'm on fentanyl. I was just kind of chilled out, I guess. That's how. By the way, that's how when the rappers take the fentanyl.
Fentanyl got me acting wacky.
Yeah,
right.
Well, the thing is, they made it out like they were like, "Oh, you're gonna be so fucked up," basically, and I was just
you're gonna sound like an idiot.
Yeah, that one of the nurses was trying to like be the like bro, It's like, bro, you're gonna be so fucked up.
Yo, I'm gonna give you extra fentanyl so you get fucked up, bro.
That's what I said to him too, though, when he was saying it. He was like, I was like, hey man, can I just ask you a request? I was like, can y'all just get me as fucked up as possible before y'all do that? And he was just like, I'll pull some strings. Bullshit, you didn't pull no strings. Like,
I'll pull some strings. Hey doc, he looks real fucked up. Like, so fucked up, we oughta morphine him up. Don't you think?
It looks at the doc, bro.
Yo, bro.
We gotta get him fucked up.
In my opinion. I know I'm just a
He
nurse.
asked me to do that. I'm sure it's legal for me to do that. Anyway, so.
Can I fuck him up?
So they grab my leg, and then he's just like, okay, here goes. And he just starts setting my ankle. And to describe it would be like, it was very, very painful, but not like unbearably so. Like I didn't cry or anything, Like I was just kind of like, ow, ow, ow. And there was a mile. It's like he was stretching my ankle, and it's like because it's moving back in place, you're sitting there going like, damn, it's not supposed to bend this way. And then you realize like, oh, it's already bent out of place, And as he's doing it, there was a period where I was just like going just like fuck, 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 fuck. Like I just kept saying fuck over and over. And then it was done. But then as soon as it set, all the pain disappeared, like completely. And I was like, thank fuck, dude. Thank fuck. Now I'm sure that like at the time, it was probably because I was on fentanyl and all the pain was, and it probably would have been like the most painful experience ever if I wasn't on some sort of pain medication. But yeah, so they set it, they get me back in the car, which like, it's just been like a real bitch, like learning crutches. That's like one of the things that's been kind of fucking weird. and
It's tough.
just realizing
for sure.
that I need help with a lot of stuff. And I'm not used to that. I'm not used to like needing someone to like, oh, can you grab this for me? Like, oh, I can't. The thing that sucks about crutches is like you don't realize how much you need your leg, but then you also don't realize that when you're on crutches, you can't hold things. Like you're now dedicating both arms for one leg. You know what I mean? And so it's like you can't like grab something and walk with it. Like if I want to carry my phone, I can put it in my pocket or something. But like if I want to carry like my Xbox controller from one room to the next, I can't do it. You know, I guess I gotta like get a little backpack or something. But yeah, I don't know what the recovery time is on this, but I guarantee that if it's gonna be surgery, which they acted like it was going to be, it's probably I'm probably gonna be like pretty fucked up for a little while, which I've been bummed out about. Like I've been kind of just sitting around like a little mopey. Because, and like when I first started, I was like, damn, I'm gonna like work on my album and I'm gonna be proactive. And like, I've been doing that. But at the same time, I kind of feel like, damn, I haven't left this chair all day, you know, like other than to like move so I don't get blood clots in my leg, you know?
Yeah. Which is important, which is a huge thing. Yeah. When I had my crutches, I was also told to move around. Otherwise you'd get blood clots. But like, you know, at the same time, it is quarantine season still, and not to say like there's a good time to ever break your leg, but there are worse times, I suppose. You know.
Yes.
So
indeed.
I don't think you should feel guilty. I mean, me saying that's not going to change anything, but I don't think you should beat yourself up about like your immobility. You know.
Yeah. No, it's not as much like I'm beating myself up about it. It's more. It's just a bummer. And I'm not sitting there going, and I've already kind of went through that phase of like, well, if I didn't go up and get that package, and I'm sitting here like, okay, well, it's kind of like a butterfly effect thing. What if there's a universe where I did skip getting the package and I didn't break my leg, but then I like got struck by lightning on the way home. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like I could sit here.
Testicular lupus.
Yeah, testicular lupus, which I have already, by the way.
Which, by the way, you have. I've watched Dr. House, and you told me all your symptoms just now, and I'm like, I'm convinced that's what you have. No, I mean, you know, dwelling on the past in these kinds of situations is very natural, but it was also unhealthy because what's done is done, and you just kind of have to navigate your way through your current situation. It's just, to me, as someone who only hears of the system you guys have in America in terms of like medical help and all that, it just baffles me that it's taken them so long. Like there's such a long period of time between when you broke your leg and when they're going to assess it for surgery. Did they explain why that needed to take place? Is it because they're waiting for your bones to start recovering, or I'm trying to understand.
Everyone has been very vague just about everything. Like
Gotcha.
Like I've asked questions and they were just kind of like, oh, well, like, okay, at the time I really couldn't ask too many questions because I was just so mentally checked out.
Of course.
And so I was kind of getting my mom to handle most of that, which she's good about that, right? Mm-hmm. But they gave her the name of like a recommendation for like a surgeon and person who's going to look at it. I can't remember the word for that. I can't remember the word for bone doctor, that guy. So, sorry, my brain no work this
Dr.
morning.
Boner.
Dr. Boner, that's his name. Anyway, so they got I think it's orthopedic. Is that what it is? Is orthopedic the word?
That sounds like I heard it in Dr. House.
Okay, orthopedic surgeon. Let's just say that, but watch that be like your dick. Anyway, so my dick boner surgery, man. Yeah,
Dr. Richard Boner.
Yeah, Dr. Richard Dick Boner Cock the Third.
Johnson Peter, yeah.
Imagine your last name being Boner Cock. I'm sorry, we're getting off topic. Yeah, so they said, they like sent the x-rays to them and everything, and then they were just kind of like, oh, we can pencil you in for the 8th. And I'm like, damn, that's a long time away. And they were like, that's what we have available, and they were kind of like, it'll be fine. We looked at your x-rays and that should be fine. And all this stuff. And And like, I don't know if that was because I didn't have that conversation. My mom had that conversation. I'm hearing this from her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she tried to press to get it earlier, and it was kind of like, you know what it really sounds like to me? The guy was like on July 4th vacation, and he just like put me off until 8th.
Oh god,
that's what it really sounds like.
Consider that. That makes sense. Fuck, because I was gonna say, did it seem like they were over capacity or something like that?
I don't know, but it's probably it though. I feel like that's the only thing that makes sense because they were kind of like, oh, we're having like a delay just for that week, and I'm just kind of like sitting here like,
yeah,
you ain't slick. We know what you're doing, but yeah, and I mean, I get it. Like, he's not. Like, we could try to like look around and get another person, but they were like highly suggesting this person, and then my mom actually called like my personal doctor, and and he was like, no, that guy's really good.
Right, they were all referring him. Yeah, you to him.
And so I was kind of like, okay, if this is the guy who's going to be possibly working on my leg, I'd want to get the guy that everybody wants me to go to. So
makes sense.
I don't mind the wait, and also I think it's kind of like been important for me to learn, because when I first started walking on crutches, I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, and I wasn't ever going to get it down, etc. And now I feel a lot more comfortable on them. It's still a bitch, but
yeah, but watch, like a week from now, you're going to be walking around the house on your hands.
Yep, that's actually how I got in here this morning.
Yeah, just be careful. Don't use the fucking ramp ever again. And if you do, like, sit down and slide down the ramp.
Yeah, exactly. No, I actually had to use the ramp yesterday on crutches.
Did you, like, throw a middle finger at it?
Yeah, no, like the whole time I was with my mom, and I came out of that house and was just kind of like, well, this is it. This is what fucked my life up. This is where it
happened. This is where it all happened.
This is ground zero, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been, it's been just kind of a roller coaster of like emotions. It's been a real weird week.
Yeah, dude,
and it feels like it's been longer and shorter than a week at the same time, if that makes any sense.
I know what you mean. It does seem crazy that it's only been a week. It feels like you broke your leg forever ago to me. I've no concept of time anymore, though, or how it moves. But
yeah, well, that's because you're using dog hours. You're counting the dog hours.
That's true. Yeah, my measurement of using dog hours as a reference for everything has fucked me up. But
yeah, I don't know what made you want to do that.
Well, you know, they say life is short, but it doesn't seem as short when you're using dog hours as a reference for things. It makes it seem like life is fucking long. Hey, you know, on the bright side, yes, you broke your leg, but you have an interesting story, something to look back at. You have an excuse to stay home and work on a lot of music, and I got to make a whole lot of like jokes at your expense on Twitter.
Yeah, dude, I really appreciated that. I'm just chilling, enjoying myself, having a grand old time at the Grand Old Opry. I check my Twitter, and I just see meme after meme after meme, you know, and it just really hammered home. You know, it made me feel like he's really looking out for me.
Yeah, I'm here for you, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
Someone's got to be there to like help you, you know, morally, emotionally, sexually.
Yes, we're in the same.
Jinx.
Jinx, a pinch poke, you owe me a cock.
Yo, if a kid told me that when I was a kid, pinch poke, you owe me cock, I'd have been like,
she's got
whoa.
Whoa, kid. Settle down.
Whoa. Wait, is that a real rule? Fine. you didn't just make it up, did you? Yeah, like we used to say, what was it? Jinx, no backseas, no black magic. Oh, like I'm trying to remember what other things.
No black magic? I've never heard of that in my life.
Yeah, we're really racist. No, it's just like apparently some people started making up this thing where like, oh, well, you can escape the jinx with the use of black magic. And it's
why
like,
the fuck would you want to use like dark magic to take back a jinx?
It's to undo
Like, what
the
is
jinx.
what is a jinx? Like, being jinxed, what does it even mean?
A jinx is like a spell, right? Like a curse or something. And so, but I'm guessing like if when the jinx occurs, you have like a moment to break out of that jinx. And so the person who's casting the jinx on you is like no backsies, which is like, you can't be like, no, jinx, and no black magic. There's a lot of bullshit. And with different people, it's different things. I think somebody even said like no dragon eggs or some bullshit like that. Like, I don't know, man.
They're just making shit up. I think there's that one kid on the playground who's just like a little smarter than all the other kids, and he just like makes shit up just to like they'll have this conversation later in life. And people will be like, what the fuck? Like, someone will be like, oh, jinx, no backsies, Teletubby lay eggs. And then they'll be like,
Yeah,
and then that's like planting a seed that's just like, oh, did you know that Teletubbies lay eggs? Like, someone's going to say that later in life. You know what I mean?
Yo, you made me, you reminded me of something. So speaking of body parts being crushed and these sort of playground games, in Russia, there's like this thing, I don't know if it's still around, but when I was a kid, it was certainly a thing, is if you step on somebody's foot or toes, they have to step back on your foot 3 times, otherwise their mom dies.
Seems like I've heard of this.
And that would happen all the time, like, oh, bro. And usually it would be like, dude, I just stepped on your foot, you have to step on mine 3 times. And the worst thing is it would happen so often as a kid that people would like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're like, oh fuck, I stepped on you 4 times. Okay, well now I gotta step on you 3 times. And that was a real thing.
Everyone just has broke feet.
Yeah, everyone comes home with just fucking like, they're swollen, they look like Bilbo Baggins' feet,
That's like
that was a real thing.
that whole step on a crack, you break your mother's back. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That's like, I remember one of the funniest fucking moments of my life to this day was me being in like 4th grade and someone said, step on a crack, you break your mother's back. And this one kid went, fuck my mama, and just started stepping on all the cracks.
Starts just fucking jumping on the crack up and down.
It's like such a chaotic energy.
I love that. That's really funny. Yeah, I used to, man, you know me, I'm not religious or superstitious, but when I was younger, I was quite superstitious. And to the point where, when somebody says something like, oh, and like, what if he could have died? And then they're like, knock on wood. And you have to knock on wood. And if there's no wood around you, you knock on your head. And
knock on your dick.
Right. And I did that, and I got to a point where I was doing that with any thoughts I had that were mildly like violent or disturbing, like, oh fuck, but then what if she's dead, or like what if she got hurt? And I would knock on wood. There would be no one around me. I'd be in bed thinking this, struggling to fall asleep, and constantly knocking on wood. And it was almost like a tick, like it was almost like mental Tourette's, where I would just like, I'm like, I have to not think of anything fucked up, and immediately just a bunch of fucked up things would come to me. And
you just like you basically say like, I need to not become fucked up, and then in the process you become a school shooter who can't stop knocking on wood.
No, but it's weird, because I fixated on not wanting to think those disturbing thoughts. The disturbing thoughts is all that came, and I remember that used to torture me. And that actually reminds me of a time when I was even younger. So like when I was 6 to 7, for about a year, I actually had a tick. I had an eye tick. I had like, what is it called? Like voluntary like blinking, and I would do it like super strong. Like I would tense up with every like blink I would do. And there's a VHS cassette somewhere of me on my birthday when I turned 6, I think, and people were like, happy birthday to you. I'm like, they're like looking all happy and just blinking like every 3 seconds. I would like shut my eyes so intentionally and like so hard, as if like, you know, as if I was Hodor from Game of Thrones, and it's like,
Yeah, I don't know that reference, but yeah.
okay, so like I was shutting that shit, them shits real hard, like as if I couldn't let anyone in, or I couldn't let any of my eyeballs fall out. It was a real thing I struggled with for a long time. I could not think about blinking.
Yeah.
And so I had so many different things like that growing up, and I'm so glad most of it is gone. So I think I'm fine now.
I had a kind of I don't know if you would call it a tick or not. I guess it would be a tick. But when I was like real young, I used to hand flap, and they thought that I was like autistic because of it. They ran me through tests, and I wasn't. Like, but when I was like really young, I always would like, if I got really excited, I would like flap my hands, you know?
Like a seal?
No, not like a seal. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like I would like I mean, no, not clap, like flat, like as if I was like flying.
I see. I thought you'd just be like, I'm excited.
No, that would be funnier. No,
Okay.
it was like.
Flapping. Would you like spin your upper torso, or like?
No, like it's just like up and down with your hands.
Oh, up and down, not left and right. Gotcha.
Yeah, like up and down type situation. And like I used to do it when I was like, I'd say until I was like 5, I would do it. And like they tested me for like autism, because that's like a super like telltale. And then what they said it was like a it's like if I was overstimulated, I would just like I don't remember what it's called. It's like a secondary comfort thing. And it's like if you're overstimulated, you don't feel like it felt like I didn't know what to do with all the energy in my body. That's what it felt like.
ADHD.
Yeah, like that. And I was like, I've never been tested for ADHD, but I'm pretty sure I have it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do, because we always go on tangents, and I've seen you struggle with focusing.
Yeah, no, we're definitely. My mom, by the way, my mom just got tested for ADHD, and she's positive. Like yesterday. Damn. Yeah, so that's pretty crazy, right? But
yeah, so you might have it, because it is genetic, I think.
Yeah. No, I definitely have some degree of ADHD for sure, because I can't focus on something I have shiny squirrel syndrome. Shiny squirrel. Anyway, so yeah, but I didn't know what to do with my hands, and I would like flap them, and it took me like a long time to like get like under control. I trained myself basically not to. I never like went to anyone, but I just kind of like stopped doing it, because like I would do it, and like kids would be like, "What's wrong with this kid?" You know what I'm saying? And
right.
Like even now to this day, like I don't do it, but like I'll get this feeling like it's like too much energy in my hands, and it feels like I like have to like kind of move them a little bit. It's like I don't know what to do with all this. Like if I'm really excited about something, like I like have to like do some kind of like movement with them.
Same here.
So I don't know what that is, but it's I was really super self-conscious about it for like years. Like, no one like made fun of me for it, because I was too young to like, you know, but I watched a VHS tape of me a few years ago when I was like really young, and I saw that, and I was just like, wow, like I look real crazy. like it was kind of like, there's something wrong with that kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's funny that you describe it that way. It's the exact same way. It was the exact same way for me when I saw myself like voluntarily blinking every time.
Yeah. Did you have to like train yourself not to do that, or did you like get someone to? Like,
I don't remember, to be honest. I just know that I eventually stopped. I don't know. Maybe it was like a change of environment, or I don't know. Maybe something picked up a new hobby, or I got into some sort of video game that maybe distracted me. I think something ultimately must have distracted me away from that habit, to the point where I would just like, I'd forgotten about it. Because I think that's the other thing. It's like if somebody starts celebrating, like, you're no longer doing the thing you always do voluntarily, like it'll come back immediately, you know? So you kind of have to like wait a couple of years, like, hey, remember a few years ago you used to do that? Like, oh, wow, I did used to do that, didn't I? Okay, wow. I'm glad I'm not doing it no more.
Yeah, I just couldn't imagine having like a facial tick and then like forgetting about it, like stopping doing that thing, and then someone like immediately being like, oh yeah, congratulations. It's like that sick animation, the Sports Nuts, where he's just like, when you get nervous, you tend to blink really hard. Don't do that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that same energy.
Oh, that's exactly it. I blinked really hard. That's exactly what I used to do. That's just funny. Yeah, I mean, like, it would be tough playing poker if you had, like, a facial tic, unless you faked your facial tic while playing poker. That's some next level poker face shit right there. Like, pulling Ethan Klein.
Could you imagine that? Yeah.
Just, like, make it look like you're fucking nervous. And then, psych.
You know, I went for the longest time not knowing Ethan Klein had, like, a facial tic. Like, for whatever reason, I just didn't realize.
Oh, yeah, he has Tourette's, yeah.
Yeah, I never noticed it for like a long time for some reason until he like pointed it out. I don't know why, because it's like now that you like pay attention, it's like, oh yeah, like it's there. It's not.
I
like,
didn't really notice it either. I just thought he was like super expressive with his face or something, you know?
That's what I thought too. I thought that he was just like always making faces, and
yeah.
Like I didn't realize that it was like actually Tourette's.
It was the comments that alerted me to the fact that like, oh, he's doing something with his eyebrows, or like, you know, because it's always going to be a comment that like points out something, and sometimes it comes from a place of trying to just make an observation. Sometimes it's trying to be funny. Sometimes I think it's kind of malicious almost. Mm-hmm. And those comments seem to somehow float to the top. This is why it's important to avoid comments, man. I've been trying a lot better as of late. I think the other day I saw you reply to something, to a tweet that had me and you in there, and I guess they didn't add us, they just like used our names, and they were speaking with one another as if like we'd never see those tweets, and so they were kind of critical, I guess, or whatever, or like they dismissed our ability. I remember seeing that and being like, damn, it's exactly why I don't look myself up, because you know, it shit like that's gonna happen. But that's like I try to look at it from like a positive, like a positive thing is, people are constantly talking about us. Someone somewhere is constantly talking about us, and that just means we have a level of relevancy that we've achieved, which is a commendable thing. And I also, what's been helping a lot is I have developed this weird almost addiction for reaction videos. I've always kind of enjoyed music reaction videos, but now I've found like my 3 guys that I go to for it. Like there's 3 YouTube channels that I go to for it, right?
Yeah.
And as much as I like something like Anthony Fantano doing reviews, and I love that kind of stuff. I love, you know, people who sit there, listen to an album multiple times, you know, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, or like, you know, try to do some research on it. That stuff is really cool. But then when you see someone react to something for the first time ever, it's like it's a completely different thing. It's like you see their facial expressions change. You see how
for sure.
They may not pick up all the lines, but like the ones that they do pick up, like the surface level ones, seeing how they react to that. I really love shit like that. And there's something like happy about it, you know what I mean?
100%, dude. Like there's something about the like actual like them catching the vibe, etc. I like that. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really watch reviews much anymore, and I don't really watch reaction videos either, just because I've kind of fallen out of doing that. So, like I'll go check and see what Fantano says about an album, but usually I just look at the score.
I see.
Unless it's something that I really am like super invested in. I used to like sit and watch the whole video, but like a lot of times it's like I'll watch a video and I wouldn't even know who the band is, or I wouldn't listen to them, and I'd just be kind of like, oh, okay, like I feel like I wasted my time because I'm never gonna go listen to them, you know?
I see.
But reaction videos I feel like are a little different, and also it's like kind of like a more, I wouldn't say more honest, but it's honest in a sense of like you're seeing their real life faces, their reactions, how they're catching it, which sometimes doesn't like, especially through text, it doesn't translate over the same way.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, it's so hard to express. I find it hard to express how you really feel about something, like an album, especially with people who have varying tastes. Like, if you ever, that's why I hate like arguing music with people, like, because like you could say like one of these albums is my favorite album from this person, and it'll be like, no, that's like trash. This is a good one, and it'll just be something I'm like totally not into, you know. And I hate that, but when you have, and I hate having to explain why I like something to people.
I think it's rare to have a good conversation about enjoying music with someone other than someone who's on a similar wavelength as you. Like, I know I could discuss stuff I like with you because I know that if you know it, you'll be like, oh, well, then you'll fuck with this, and you'll put me on to something that I might enjoy, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Whereas if it's like somebody just going like, hey, what kind of music do you listen to? It's like, okay, I'll tell you what I listen to. Are you gonna recommend something, or are you just gonna judge, or are you gonna, like, what kind of information are you gonna take out of that exchange, you know? So I think it depends on who you're talking with. And reactions, you're right, it's a more visceral experience, you know, like, and there's something about it that, because it's not so thought out, that I sometimes in some ways prefer to reviews. It's just a different itch, I guess, for me. But I would love to see people react to my music for the first time ever. I actually saw there was this one reaction video to one of my songs that I saw, and it was so weird just seeing someone listen to me for the first time, and just kind of like, like, music can be kind of like a roller coaster, you know. Reaction videos made me realize that better, in the sense that, like, they can be a roller coaster for other people enjoying it. It's like, oh, I like this, and then, whoa, what's this part? Holy crap, and this and that. So that might be the only instances where I look myself up is reaction videos. If you guys have some, do send me.
We're basically saying do reaction videos, pussies.
The reason I went on a tangent is, before I found the people that I enjoy watching reacting to music, and the funny thing is, I always look up the albums I already listened to. I just want other people. I want to see if they enjoyed it as much as I did. And when I do see that they enjoyed it, I'm like, yeah, they fucking get it. You know, I get to vicariously experience listening to the album for the first time again. Almost. It's weird.
It's like the same feeling you get as like when you put someone onto something and you can tell they really like it.
They're like, oh, fuck. And then they get into it and they can't stop talking about it. And you're like, I fucking get it. I know how they're feeling right now. Damn, this is beautiful. But I before I found the 3 people that I go to, I had to go through a bunch. And there were so many people that were bad at it, who would just listen to it, or sometimes like it didn't hit them the same way, or just like I saw a bunch of people reacting to JPEG Mafia's All My Heroes Are Cornballs. And there were a few that reacted so poorly, like, oh, I really don't like the beat here, or like, I don't like his rapping, I don't like his voice, or they didn't like this or that, they thought transition was silly or stuff like. And I'm listening to it and I'm like, this is genius. They're just not seeing the genius. And that was such a healthy thing for me to come across, because it made me realize that, oh, there's so many people out there that's just like, well, on video, hate on JPEG Mafia, or hate on Danny Brown, or hate on LP, or hate on A Tribe Called Quest. And it's just like, seeing all of that was so important to me, because I'm like, well, then if somebody hates on my music online, it should mean nothing to me, because these people's opinions mean nothing to me. I look at their opinions about Nas and I disagree. Their opinion does nothing to me. Their opinion is just like, they're wrong. That's it. I move on. But when it comes to an opinion on my music, I'm always so quick to trust their negative opinions, you know, or to consider their negative opinions as important. And so seeing not my heroes, but because I try to not have heroes, but seeing the people who've been very influential in my life, and seeing people kind of dismiss a lot of their genius so easily has, I think, helped me understand why sometimes people's tweets or comments online that I used to come across were also very dismissive and kind of hateful, and that it's okay, it shouldn't matter. That being said, I'll still not read comments because I know myself, I know my threshold in terms of how much negative energy I can read or see pertaining to myself at a time. But still, that was kind of cool. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. No, it 100% makes sense, because it's just like, when you're making something, I don't know about you, but me, when I'm making it, usually I feel like I'm pouring my whole heart into it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if someone doesn't like this, if I were to show someone this and they give me like a negative reaction, it's just like, wow, I have wasted my time and energy. That's like what it feels like, even if it's not the case, because it's not the case. Really, you're making it for yourself.
Of course it's not.
And also, like, one person's opinion doesn't really matter that much.
Right.
I just think that it's weird how the brain likes to like compartmentalize, like, oh, all these people who have fucked with me up until this point, they'll be like, oh yeah, this is good. And I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. They're supposed to say that, you know? Like, it's just like, you put that in your head you put the idea in your head that like, when you've won someone over, you've just won them over, and then that's it. Now we move on to the next one. That's what it feels like. And I don't think that's necessarily the truth, because you want to be consistent and make people happy with your music and keep them around, I guess. But at the same time, you got to make what you want to make. And if it makes people who don't get it uncomfortable, or they don't like it, then that's fine, you know? And it is nice to see someone that you like, someone that you know is talented, and people not respond the same way.
It's reassuring.
You know, I think a good one for me was like, okay, for example, like when there's like a bunch of albums that I think were from like rappers or producers that were really, really good, and that like Fantano just gave like a 6 or a 7, which is still a positive review. But, and I'm not like, I think that like his review system is good, and I think that he's good at what he does. But I might disagree with him about an album that's, I think, is really good, that he just said was average or bad.
Oh yeah,
you know?
I do that all the time. Yeah,
and
for sure.
Like when I see him do that, and I'm like, okay, this is a guy who like is pretty reputable in this community, and I disagree with him wholeheartedly about something, about a rapper, then like clearly there's just always going to be taste. It's always going to be a taste thing, especially with something like rap. I feel like it's really hard to.
There's so many layers to it. So people, I feel like if they have a preference for one type of layer over the other.
A lot of it is identity too. I think a big part of rap is their personal identity. And I know that for a fact through what I listen to and what I intake. I know that a lot of the people that listen to us like also happen to be kind of nerdy, or just happen to be like into a lot of the same stuff we are, etc. And I think a lot of that comes from this whole like, people want to listen to people that are like them, or they think are like them, you know? And I know that that's not always the case, because like me, I listen to all kinds of rap music across the board, but a lot of people just like to kind of stick with like what they know, what makes them comfortable.
Or sometimes,
you know?
I also find it's like sometimes I listen to people that say things that I think but don't know how to say, or sometimes it can be cathartic to listen to JPEG Mafia for me, for instance, and that sort of unfiltered rage and everything. It's sort of I get to vicariously experience the expression of it, because like I'm listening to it and I'm like, yes, he's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally get that, especially from him.
Yeah, and
makes a lot of sense.
And sometimes same with like your music. Like when I listen to a lot of songs and you express something that is a deeply personal, emotional experience for you, but I relate to how you assess it, how you describe it, and I attach it to something that I've been through in my life, and I start to see a lot of parallels between what you're saying and what was going through my mind at the time, and I'm just like, oh wow, he's like just describing it in ways that I couldn't, and he's putting things in perspective in a way that helped me sometimes get over certain things that I hold on to, certain doubts. I've definitely had experiences with your music. I've had experiences with Aesop's music, Aerospace's music, where I listen to y'all and you guys say something and I'm able to let go of something.
Yeah.
Because I see how you approach that issue, how you look at it, how you deal with it, and it makes me feel less like, I know it's just a harsh way of saying it, but feel less like a freak. To know that I'm not the only one who thinks this way. I'm not the only one who seems to feel flawed and, like they don't fit in. And these things are so reassuring. So music can be a very reassuring experience emotionally. And so, yeah, you're right. Music can mean so much more to one person, like just, personally the attachment, and to another person, maybe they really love like sonically what it sounds like. Maybe they don't even speak English, but they're listening to a lot of English-speaking artists because they just love how everything is structured, sonically, how things sound. I listen to a lot of music that's, spoken in a tongue I don't understand, and I can still appreciate it for how creative or how catchy it can be. So, yeah, music can be very divisive in that regard. So, but it's reassuring to see that division sometimes, or reassuring to see that legends get disrespected, because then it makes me feel like, well, if they can be disrespected, then why am I not beyond reproach in my head?
Yeah, no, then you realize that it's bigger than just these small interactions that you have,
Exactly.
And I think that's important. And I think a lot of people like in our position or like around our position don't get that. I think a lot of people who are big don't get that. Like they'll just be like, oh, okay, like, you see it sometimes, like someone will say something negative about somebody and then like a big account will retweet them because they got in their feelings about it. And like, I mean, I've done that, I'm not saying that it's right, because I feel like you're entitled to your opinion. I mean, if you're being an asshole, it is what it is, but like people are entitled to their opinions on things, and I can't be mad if someone doesn't like me or just doesn't like what I stand for in music. That it's fine. Like, that's just how it is, I also think that a lot of people, if they really got to know you, like I always feel like the type of people who get ideas. I think a lot of times early on, especially, people got an idea of like who I was as a person, based off of my music. And it wasn't accurate. I remember there was like this whole time period where like people would make kind of assumptions. And I think the podcast and the Let's Plays and just being active on social media has helped a lot with that, because I think those same people, if they were to like listen, they probably would be like, oh, like he's all right. I don't think they would think like, if they didn't like me, that's fine, but at least they would know who I am, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you know what? I'd be lying if I said that being so present online is always a good thing. Sometimes I do feel exhausted, or I do feel overwhelmed with how much of myself I have put out there. I obviously keep a lot of things private. My personal relationship with my partner private, my family matters private, a lot of my thoughts and just issues like day-to-day kind of stuff, I keep that private. But I still sometimes worry that I oftentimes voice myself too often, or I say things, and I'm the kind of person who'll have an opinion one day and the next day it'll be wildly different. Not that I'm a person of no convictions, but I'm someone who's constantly changing and open to new ideas and new perspectives. And so oftentimes I look back at what I say like a week later, I'm like, why did I even open my mouth about that?
Yeah.
I oftentimes worry that I make myself so accessible to people that they get a false understanding of who I am, and it makes me overanalyze myself. But overall, I feel blessed that I'm able to open up and feel as comfortable as I do. And I owe it to our audience, because 4 or 5 years ago, I would have told you, like, man, I'll never have a YouTube channel. I'll never be streaming on Twitch.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? I'm not going to be participating in weekly streams everything I'm doing now, putting pictures of myself out there, videos and shit like that, is something that was unimaginable to me even like 3 years ago. To me, it would have been such a wild thing to consider because I was so insecure.
When was the point where you started being more active on Twitter and stuff like that?
On Twitter, I think that was... I think about 4 or 5 years ago, when I got together with my girl, I was working an office job, and it was like a year after Ramona, and I sort of got over the breakup. I got over a lot of my... Not that I got over my depression, but I've learned to deal with it in a more mature way. And so I promoted Beneath the Toxic Jungle. I think that's what made me go back there. And then every now and then I would just tweet things that came to mind. And sometimes it was a bit personal. And then other times I was just saying surreal or funny things that came to mind. And once in a while I'd get a like or two. And that would make me think like, oh shit, I don't know, like... people like that. I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of weird looking back at it now, because the way I look at social media has changed so dramatically.
Yeah.
But then around Wisconsin is when I really started picking up.
Yeah, it seems like there was like a catalyst that kind of like caused you to be more active. I feel like it was around that time. It seemed like you were a lot more. And it's funny
because
now.
It's a lot easier to do it with you. Like, it was a lot easier to feel like, oh, it's okay. It didn't feel as self-indulgent to make jokes or be on Twitter if it was almost like a collaborative thing. If, like, I was making fun of you or you were making fun of me or we were, like, sharing a joke and things like that. Just started feeling... Around that time, Twitter started feeling less about me and started feeling more like a communal experience.
Yeah.
And within our community, people were so excited about you and me reuniting, for the first time since Ramona, the summer of Ramona, us getting to do a show together. We could stream on Instagram.
Yeah, man.
Everything seemed so exciting, and we would start getting like up to 10 likes per tweet. And then
yeah, it's so funny because like I look now and I remember like I posted something. Somebody made a post and it was like it was a tweet that I had made, which is now deleted because my account is suspended. But it was someone had found the tweet of me saying something about Ramona. Like, there's ones that still exist. There's one on the exociety Twitter. That was probably
you tweeted from exociety. Yeah, you tweeted from it, and it's dated 6 years back. And it says, "Hey guys, Ramona's coming out this week," or something like that, or this weekend on blah blah blah. I can't wait. And then you sign off as KB, and I saw that, and it had 2 likes or 3 likes, and one of them was recent, I think.
Yeah, and that person, like, whoever did that, like, went and like screenshotted that, and then showed it like next to like another tweet that I had made. It was just like me. It might have been like the quarantine freestyle or something like that. I can't remember. And it was just like, wow, look at the growth. And like I saw it and I was like, what the fuck, man? This is kind of crazy. And it's like I remember like dropping Ramona and feeling like holy shit, I'm doing. And I guess it was different because I was so active on Tumblr, and there was an audience for my music on Tumblr, albeit small. It was like there, and there was just like a pocket, like it was like I was a part of a scene then. And I remember like when we dropped Ramona, it got like 400 downloads the first day or something, right? And I was like, holy shit, I've made it. This is it. There's nothing better than this, you know? And I didn't know that was like, I mean, that's still cool. Like, it's really cool for a first release, you know, for someone who like didn't really have a huge following. Like, it is tight to get 400 downloads on your shit. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of crazy that like now things are so much different than then.
Oh, 100%. I remember beneath, I came across a screenshot. I was going through one of my older external hard drives looking for something the other day, and I came across a screenshot of Bandcamp the day I dropped Beneath the Toxic Jungle, because it was the best selling all-time project.
Yeah.
And this is before we were doing physicals. It was just digital, and it was #1. And I remember that blowing my mind. It's like, oh my god, yo, we're here, you know?
Yeah.
I'm here. I done did it. I've arrived. And it's crazy to think, like,
where's my limo?
It would, like, with Wisconsin, it was like, I know it sounds silly, but once we started consistently getting around 10 likes per tweet, it started feeling like, oh wow, people are engaged beyond just like, because okay, with Bandcamp and SoundCloud, all that, you'll get thousands of listens and followers and downloads and all of that, and it's really cool, but it's easy to become desensitized to those things, because those 1,000 people, they'll download it, but not all 1,000 of them will say something to you, you know?
Yeah.
But if you have like 10 people who are constantly very actively engaging with you in a public forum as a fan, as fans, then it's like a very different feeling. It just it makes it more real. It goes beyond just being numbers. And I think around that time I was like, I think I'm finding my sea legs with this Twitter shit. And around that time, Wisconsin-ish time, is when I started shit posting, I think.
Thank fuck, dude.
Or just after Wisconsin. Yeah, thank God for that.
Yeah.
And that's when I think I finally realized, this is how I'm going to use Twitter. This is how I feel comfortable with Twitter. Because years prior to that, I tried so many times, and I'd leave and come back, and it was just, it's because I was way too personal on Twitter, which some people are able to do so, but I struggled with it. As someone who's very deeply insecure about my flaws and how I perceive the world, and how sometimes, like, I'll say something in the moment, and then I'll be like, but that's not how I really think. I was just so frustrated in that moment, and then I'd be mad at myself for tweeting that. Then I'd be mad that I deleted it, and that I'm unable to commit to a thought. And then I realized, well, maybe this is just like not the healthy path for me. Maybe I'll just post like the Scooby-Doo pictures where he has a giant bulge in his pants and stuff like that, and maybe that's my bag.
That's personal.
That's personal. That's my bag. When did you start? I mean, I feel like you've always been comfortable with using Twitter, right?
Yeah, I just wasn't very good at it for a long time, because I didn't quite know. Like, I had a Twitter as far back as like 2010, something like that. But when I first had Twitter, I was just using it to try to sell beats to rappers. That was when I was on like SoundClick. And I would always just tweet at people like bullshit, like, oh, I got a banger for you. Like, it was dumb. Yeah. But it worked a little bit. Like, sometimes people would hit me back or whatever. I never got very many like super cool placements, like weird placements. I always got weird placements. Like, it was always like,
you had a few really interesting ones though.
Okay, yeah, I had one of the weirder ones was MVP, the wrestler in WWE, who is still active. He rapped over one of my beats for this song called Tokyo, which was cool. I got the Mega Ran placement, which was like one of those situations where I just I met him and I just gave him beats. I sent him beats, and like a year later he got back to me. Let's see, Chris Calico, that was a pretty interesting one.
That's crazy.
But that was like through another person. Like, someone else bought the beat and then bought a Chris Calico feature. Do you see what I'm saying? And
yeah,
so, like,
I see. But still, that's crazy.
I remember when that happened, and it was like a bunch of people in this. I used to get on Skype with a bunch of people from that scene, from the SoundClick scene, and like I was just like, yeah, I got Chris Calico placement. That's like the term. It's like when you've sold a beat to a person, and they were like, oh, like he hit you up, like how much did it? And it was just like a lease I sold to this dude for like $25 or something. You know what I mean? And then I don't even think he sold the song. I think he just put it out for free. And then everybody in the chat was like, oh, well, that's not a real placement because Chris Calico didn't buy it. And I was just like, I felt like real shitty about it. Like I was like, oh man, I'll never have like a real placement.
Oh man.
Yeah. Which is dumb. It's really dumb because it's cool.
No, it's so playground like.
Yeah, it was very playgroundy back then. I remember one time this dude, I'm gonna say his name. Fuck it. This dude Chris Mecca. I don't know if anybody knows who I'm talking about, but one time, like a long ass time ago, I posted something because I made top 10 on SoundClick, and he asked me like how many leases I had sold like on the forum, and I told him, and he called me poor. So shout out Chris Mecca. But anyway, so like just like yeah, I don't know what that guy's fucking doing now. I'm not trying to like hate on. He's probably like that was a long time ago. I just want to say, Chris Mecca, in the off chance that you're listening to this, that wasn't cool. And if I see you, I'm gonna give you a noogie. Anyway, so yeah, no, like I just think that that was that. But yeah, I got off on a tangent. Yeah, Twitter at the time I was using it like that, and then like I was kind of like during the Tumblr days because I was so deep into Tumblr, and I had like that was like I call that all caps era. Like I would type in all caps. I was a little bit more reckless. I was always high as shit. Like I felt like I was like just kind of like finding who I was as a person, but also like as an internet persona, because I was so like deep into like the Jinzo, like almost like Jinzo became almost like his own little character, and then wasn't. Like it like went on and off. Like was I in character? Was I not in character? It felt like. And then I realized there is not really a big difference. I just typed in all caps and was just like a shitty shitlord on Tumblr, and that was kind of the same on Twitter. Like there was a time period where I just typed in all caps and just talked about being high all the time, and I took myself too seriously. I felt like, I think the shit posting, seeing you shit post, kind of like made me be a little bit more me on the internet, if that makes any sense.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like I think when you started really shit posting and posting curse stuff, that was kind of when I had like was like, oh, okay, we've like this is it, we found like a thing, you know, that's like and this kind of like subversive humor kind of thing, like I was down with it,
because basically all that really happened was we would send shit like this to each other all the time in like direct messages, you know, like the Bill and I, we don't just like send a message like good morning, you know, what's up. It'll usually be like we'll send something cursed and they'll be like, how you doing, buddy, right? And sometimes it's just the cursed stuff back and forth, and I always enjoyed those exchanges, but then I thought like, well, now I could just have them in a public forum, like in a public space where I could just share the same kind of stuff I'd be otherwise sharing directly with you.
Yeah.
And that's worked because it makes it's funny to me. Like I'll have little momentary things that otherwise there's no other like online venue for it. Like for instance, I wrote a note on my phone that said like, it was like 4 bullet points, and it was pirate has his balls in a tiny car. His tiny wife is behind the wheel. He says, she drives me nuts. Everybody laughs, right? That like in no other circumstance would I be able to use that other than screenshot it and say, y'all ever come across old notes on your phone that make you nauseous, you know? And so I post stuff like that all the time, just kind of like the stupidest thing that could come to you in the moment, and it wouldn't make sense otherwise. People seem to appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's funny to me to sort of like go back and see that. So yeah, I found my sea legs.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad that you can drive me nuts. You know what I mean? Like you could just drive my balls. You know, really just fucking.
Could you break it down for me? I don't think I understand.
Pilot my testiculars. You know. I'm pretty glad you.
Thanks, man. What is that?
Sorry.
I still. Go on.
No. You go, please.
Keep going.
Oh
Okay.
Yeah. I'm glad you could be the rear admiral of my sack.
Dude, that's the least I can do. You know.
As a
so
man.
Yeah, I enjoy your tweets. I feel like your tweets are a very different type of cursed to mine, but like they would be in the same part of the store. You know, they would both of our like all of our tweets would be part of aisle 6, but they would be on different shelves.
Yeah.
You know,
mine will be on a much higher shelf.
Yeah, so it'd be out of reach for people like myself.
Or just for anyone, really.
Okay, and mine would be way at the bottom. You could only really grab it if, like, you're a solid snake or a child.
You have to crawl on your belly to grab it. It's like underneath the thing, the stand.
Yeah, but all of my tweets are upside down, so you actually have to do like the Japanese horror movie girl who's like on all fours but backwards with her head sort of tilting backwards with her hair over her face.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, dude. I like when you talk like that, man. It makes me nice and happy. You know what I mean?
I'm real good with the words and the such, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, dog. So, how's your fucking portfolio looking, dog?
It's looking good. Yesterday, I tweeted a few bangers. My favorite was
you posted some good ones yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, like there was the one with the sneakerhead one, but my favorite one was probably like, I do say this marijuana cigarette got me gobsmacked. That one was pretty good.
It just made me think of the band Godsmack. Like, but imagine band as shitty of a band as Godsmack is, but like they're even worse and their name is Gobsmack.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And then I also tweeted the story about Danny Brown blocking me and how I'm still blocked.
Damn, that's such a shame that you're still blocked.
It is a shame.
Very
I know. I hope he unblocks me because I love him. But also, fuck, man, I was tweeting a lot yesterday because I also have that SpongeBob tweet where it's like, if you recognize this, you're a real gamer. Damn, it's weird. Some days I'll be like, there'll be days where I just don't tweet much at all. I'll just be retweeting stuff, usually things pertaining to like the current climate of, you know, people protesting and police brutality and just, you know, Black Lives Matter kind of stuff in general. But then there'll be days where I just like, and I'll just shit post. Like I can't, like, it's like not even shit post. It's like diarrhea post. It's out of my control. Like I can't. It's just like, and I'm just typing away, you know.
I love that for us. I love that when you make that noise.
Yeah. Can you end this episode on a beautiful noise like that, but try to make it as long as you possibly can?
Okay. Here goes.